what's up, guys? It's Matt Hatter here, represent for DA Dynasty Active League, and pretty much somebody on the DC community Facebook asked a question. Said, as a controller that wants to DPS, what focus should he uses? So I know a lot of guys here is pretty much elitist or above novice level, and they wish to know. Well, not us, but it's been a long time. So again, you got new guys. So I just want to do a little basic here for the low-level guys and the guys mostly in the Facebook community, because a lot of them don't know, and that's pretty much what I read a lot. So some of the stuff that I already have posted and most people already know about it and skims over, this is for these guys. So alright, so again, the question was, as a controller that wants to DPS, to what should he use? Well, first of all, you start with the basic, and in here from back in the day, you had the T1, that's after your level 30 missions, T2 gear and T3 gear. Pretty much, as memory serves me right, the missions will actually tell you, but if you're not 100% sure, it's pretty much written in the description. So if you're a controller and your symbol, if you look in the top left of my name, that's the symbol for your controller. If you want to DPS, you switch to roles, you press up and then say press on X to switch to roles, and your symbol was changed to a fire that signifies for DPS. You go into your inventory. So again, so right now I'm a controller, but I switched to DPS. That doesn't add up. That's incorrect. So I want to DPS, so I start with first is your DPS gear. So everything here that says controller, or the things that's used for a controller right now, is a no-no. So what I want to do is, as I'm progressing in my levels, at the level 30 with my CR and skill points and such, each new piece of item I get, it should say DPS. Now I'm not saying ignore. If you got to keep, it's pretty much you got to keep track of your inventory. I know it's a little stressed from the beginning, because technically you have 3 sets if you're sticking to one role. For example, if your main role is controller and you want DPS gear, that's the second set. And one role, and basically every other role, which is the DPS gear, and then you have your PvP gear. Okay, so there's 3 sets. Very different. You can tell it actually says it in the description. So a lot of the new players that comes on fresh off the Brainiac Bolt or fresh off the other side of the villains doesn't know this and really doesn't pay attention, and that becomes frustration for the other guys, you know, the elitists and the regular guys that come in here, or some of the guys that allow them to just get by without trying to explain to them their roles, the mechanics of the games, and what have you, as they're carrying them. They just carry them and just have them thinking that they're super OP, and that's not cool. So we need to throw a little education in the mix. So again, I switched to DPS, so I need DPS gear. So you can find that in most of the vendors here. There's T1 or T2. A lot of this has this here, so like it just keeps scrolling down. It says most of that. I think that also just pretty much set in stone, because one would be a heal. Yeah, one was a healer, one was a troll, one was a DPS, one was a tank. So that was pretty cool. But as you're going on, like let's say the T2 raids, or the solos, or the duos, even if it's the regular event. And depending on the loot drop, you check on it, you get an option to choose. Once you get it, you can click it to your main role like you have it now, which was the controller, or you can switch to the DPS. Or if you was the healer and you didn't want to heal no more because you have all the healer gear, then same thing, switch to DPS gear, and tank, and so on. So You guys excuse that. I did not imprint. Let me go back to the other one. See if that works out for me. Just a little better. A little better. Okay. So, again, just the basics. Once you're in DPS role and you have all your DPS gear, this was pretty much what it looked like for DPS gear. Let me slap this on. Again, I don't want to keep confusing nobody. I don't know if I had this was just my little fun little spec for my DPS. And it's a perfect example right here. You saw how I just clicked on the gear piece, and one says controller, and then the opposite doesn't have anything on. That's your DPS gear right there. You just changed it from controller to DPS. And as you can see, it says your item level. My item level is 271. So if you have another gear compared to yours, you slap onto it. Plus, you can see the green in the stats. All right, very, very big difference. So that's how you know you can compare the two. And you can find one with the higher item level, or you have one with, like, if it's DPS gear matching another DPS gear. Most DPSs have one with the higher stats on it. So if they're specing just all prick base or might base, those are the ones that these guys follow on. So for me, since I'm DPS, and all them that I got from the Halloween event years ago, and that's what I pretty much wanted, just have fun with it. This right here is the DPS gear, so that's what I'm gonna use, because I want DPS gear. That's what we asked for. Okay, so now we got all DPS gear. We got a weapon DPS, head, neck, back, chest, legs, and our 2 rings. Well, now we're gonna get confused again, because look, like, oh, Mad Hatter, these are different 2 colors. One is in the green. You mentioned green, and you got another one in a different color. So what's going on with that? Is that DPS gear too? Yes, it's still DPS gear. The only difference, like I said earlier, look at the item level. You see one on the left is 271. If you look on the right, there's 269. Alright, so this item is a little bit lower, but it's still item level, is still DPS gear. I don't have any other DPS gear in here, so this is what I'm going to use for now. Now, if I find in running a raid or a solo, duo, an event, and I choose to, or excuse me, and I have enough marks to purchase a higher item level that matches this item level or higher, I'm going to swap the lowest one out for the higher item level. That's how you raise your CR. And if you go to, again, still in your inventory, you scroll to stats, and if you look at the combat rating, that's your CR. Okay, that's the short term of your CR's combat rating. So that's pretty much how we work that out. So again, we're gonna go back. You make sure you have all your DPS gear. Check, 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 check. Okay. So once we got all our DPS gear, what's the next thing we're gonna do? We're gonna check our artifacts. Make sure we have the right artifacts for our DPS. Now I'm not gonna get too all extra into it. Again, the question was just the basics, so that's what we're pretty much gonna stick it to. I don't want nobody to go all crazy with it. Same thing with your little utility slots. I don't want to go all crazy with that one either, so we're just gonna stick to the basics. But if you want to learn more about your artifacts, I'll definitely give a lot of suggestions, or just do your homework. You know, I'm not gonna point nobody out directly in the YouTube verse. I mean, well, doesn't matter. You have my homeboy Heavies at Real Games. That's the name of his channel, Real Games. You have Obsidian Chill that he does the basics. He's not trying to give nobody no expert this, expert that. It's just pretty much just a guideline of how you spec for yours. And once if you want to do follow his lead, and then after that, just test your DPSing with your artifacts and stuff to see where it goes. He gives a little depth guide in that one. Or you can follow Hesse, and it's pretty much the main guys, or my homeboy oh Lord, I forgot his name, Geo Force 100. He has his channel too. Pretty much all these guys pretty much talk in depth. Well, Hesse don't really talk in depth with it. he just DPSs. So, and he shows what he shows, and he just let it run with it. But most of these guys, these channels, they pretty much very exclusive with their artifacts and pets and stuff like that. So just YouTube those guys, or just again, just YouTube DPS artifacts for your DPS, and you can take it from there one at a time. But it is costly, so just keep that in mind. But back to the basics. So again, we have our roll into DPS. We have all our gear. We checked it. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our base. Now, if you do not have this, you can buy it at the. You can buy the armory in the marketplace, or you can look up and there's collections where you can get it from, and you will get the armory here. But if definitely, you should have a free one. If memory serves right, you should have a free armory. The first one, or the second, or at least very least two. I'm very sure that you have one. So if you don't have an armory, you can go to here, search in it, and then you will have your armory. And once you have your armory, as you're searching, you can bring your armory anywhere into the into your layer and set it down, and it will look something like this, but empty. But once you have all your DPS gear, everything set up and lined up right. Again, checking everything look good. Okay. Again, ignore that. That's something for me. So again, we already discussed this. Click on that just to check it. See, you see the difference in the stats. It's the same item level. Controller is vitalization and dominance. You don't need that because you're DPSing. You're not trolling. So you don't need this. So I pretty much like to separate everything. Want to go savaging it, because I don't need this gear for this tune. I have a troll gear, I have DPS gear, I have item levels that is higher or the same, so I'm fine with that. Same thing with this one here. See here, same thing. So I don't need, so I'm putting this on the side. So got all my DPS gear. Now I have my loadout spec. Have that set up. Okay, great. Again, do your homework. Everybody's different. This is not no OP loadout, nothing like that. I'm not even gonna dare touch that conversation and say I'm the best DPS, because I know I'm not. I do the bare minimum, and I'm happy with that. I'm fine. I do support roles, heal and troll all day. So once your loadout is completed, you got the right weapon. You have the right enough skill points for your spec for your stats. Again, do your homework on that one too, so you know the spec for your skill points in the right selections. So once that's completed, all right, look like I'm all set. Loadout check, DPS gear check, right artifacts check, right utility belt and all that good stuff check. Okay, then I go to here, then I imprint. Now once you imprint all, because you got it all. Now if there's something, let's just say you want to custom to, let's just say you have two. You already have your troller, you spec for your troller, you want to go check spec for the second one, is your DPS, because this is a whole new thing for you. You had the controller and you did the same thing first. You spec for your control, you're on your controller role first, then you want to go to your you got your DPS situated. Now this is your second one. So if you want to customize a little bit, change the iconic to anything you want. Throw a little head on there right now. Or if you want to change the name, press square, enter whatever you want to put in there, and then you press enter, and that's pretty much it. Then you come back here, then you press imprint all, and then everything will be just imprinted as you left it. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the basics of that with the gear. I figured I just wanted to explain that for a guy on Facebook and show it to him, so I don't want to drag out a conversation for anybody that don't know. But if you know somebody who just don't know, like seriously don't know, just send them this way. Just coming up at level 30s, And if you don't know, you just grabbing every gear, because pretty much that's what we was doing back in the day. We was grabbing any gear, raised the item level a little bit higher, and then once we got level 30, you know, it was sky's the limits. We ran all the T1s, ran our T2s, ran our T3s, everything that came at us one at a time, which is fine. But you know, I know right now they got the they got the CR skippers, the skill point skippers, you know, because DC Universe became more pay to play. So if your CR starts off at 255 and you just, you know, pretty much humbly stuck on stupid, you don't know, and that's fine. You know, just ask. But if you come across this little channel and you just say, hey, well, I don't understand, like I have a few pieces of troll gear, a few pieces of DPS gear, that's not your fault. That's DC Universe fault, because they really tell us the shit. You know, they don't explain anything that much. We pretty much, us guys did our homework for so long, tested everything to the point where we're the teachers. We're sub devs, and DC Universe is not. They're really not. So, and it is what it is. And it depends on who's your. It also pretends. It also depends on who's your teacher. Also, like if somebody's teaching you the right way, how to be a troller. Like I just read one person when they just asked a legitimate question, explanation. One person said, "Yeah, superpower." That what the hell that means? You got to go just a little bit more detail, because clearly the person don't understand the role to be a DPS, or he don't understand the role to be a troller, or a healer, or a tank. You know. And it's fine. Like if you're learning, you're progressing. If you're starting out in an event, you know, that's your level. Start an event. If you want to come in there in regular, and most of those guys in there, we're burning through just to get the marks, whatever. You know, that's what we do. And you want to come along for the ride? Great, cool. But if you come in there as a support role, and we're trying to figure out, like, you know, where's your niche at? You know, people like us, you know, the other veterans that have been here for a long time, years, they kind of get impatient. You know, because we want to get it in, get it out. But at the same time, you know, just listen to what we say, what we suggest, because them little hints, them little comments, they help out. You know, plus you gotta have just a little bit thick skin, especially if it comes in a comment section, like, you know, what's this, or why are you doing this, or why are you taking it this way, or why are you, you know, I'm not getting enough heals, or something like that. So, and then again, if they're not being more helpful with the conversation, hey, same thing. I had to ask too. Like if I came across another fellow nature healer, you know, he put me on game winning role. I love the control. So, and I got good to the point now. I'm like solo. I wanted to push myself to another level. I'm soloing each elite. You know what I'm saying? Or I get asked, and that's pretty much like a rep type thing. If somebody just asks you, like, hey man, do you want to come in and do this lead? I know you don't got the marks, whatever, but sure, I'll do it for fun. I really don't care. I really don't. I'll do it for fun, just to show out, or just to, you know, just impress myself with it, and compare myself to other old school elitists that I came up with when I was just trolling, and they was healing or they was tanking, and now I'm, you know, seeing my results compared to theirs that, you know, is just as equal or better, you know what I'm saying, with just the healing, with the mechanics, not dying, you know, or going that little extra beyond, you know, doing pickups as I'm healing. So it feels good to me, and it's a tribute to me. It's a tribute to them, because these are guys I used to follow all the time, and now I learn, or just got as good or even better than them, in my opinion, and that's where it goes. So I hope this little video, again, just the basics. I hope this video helps out the low levels, the new players that's coming in. For the other veterans and guys out there, if it's something I missed, just showing the basics, please leave a comment below. Definitely smash the like button, because YouTube just sucks. YouTube sucks with the algorithm. Not asking for much. But also, again, if you come across some guys that's low level and you don't want to feel like just explain to them, because, you know, you don't got the time of day, just send them this way. You know, I don't mind throwing the basics to them, and then just like a little bird with a little wing, push them off that cliff and let them fly. All right, so appreciate it, guys. Thank you.